Thank you for stopping by GardenStateWeather.com, New Jersey and the northern Mid-Atlantic region's weather news portal. I'm forecaster Robert Smith, and this is the Friday edition, October 7, 2011, of the Daily Video Forecast Discussion. Waking up to a crystal clear morning, and a chilly one at that, with temperatures here in New Jersey as of 7 o'clock this morning in the upper 30s across Sussex and Warren counties and parts of Morris County. Elsewhere, temperatures are generally running right around 40 if you average them all out. Across the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area, temperatures in the New York metro area in the upper 40s to around 50, and also continuing along into the Delmarva and southeastern Pennsylvania. Satellite image this morning, lots of clear skies across all of the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area, all the way into the Ohio Valley and down into the deep south as well of the southeastern United States. Water vapor loop this morning, again, shows very little moisture in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, perhaps some cirrus clouds, but mostly dry air across all of this area over our forecast region this morning. As high pressure is centered right over New York State and the northern New England area, cresting, actually ridging down all the way into the Virginias and the North Carolina coast, with the return flow now from the south across the upper Midwest, where some clouds are getting in here just west of the Great Lakes. Eastern U.S. water vapor loop shows high pressure ridging down right from southern New England all the way off into the deep south here and back to the west as well. We've got one upper level low well out into Canada and strong confluence between this system and the high pressure. So very light northerly flow here this morning. Temperatures generally running in the 40s and lower 50s. Some frost this morning also, with temperatures in the upper 30s across this region, Pennsylvania, northern Poconos, and northwest Jersey. And here is Philippe out here in the Atlantic, an old cold frontal boundary here. Notice on the southern edge of this boundary here, we're fighting some east winds here and some tropical development, or at least some convection here that's trying to get something organized here. This is going to be an area of interest over the next couple of days because it may actually lead to precipitation moving up inland across the Appalachians or up along the coast here on Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use the GFS from last night model run just to give you an idea of where the upper atmosphere and the parameters here that are at play for next week. First of all, through Tuesday, nothing but generally fair weather as high pressure is in control here. Talked about the back end, the lower end of the front where Philippe is now recurving it out into the Atlantic, has moisture associated with it. Some kind of tropical low or subtropical low. A hybrid kind of a system may develop in this region here off the coast of Florida. And then some of the modeling wants to bring it further up the coast with an area of precipitation moving in on Wednesday or Thursday, into Thursday actually. And that will have a lot to do with the interaction between this trough here out over the northwest. Now let's go through the maps here very slowly, and then eventually we're going to stop into the early part of next week. Now here, let's stop at 120 hours, which is next to Tuesday night. High pressure off the mid-Atlantic coast, still plenty of dry air in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, but underneath it, here comes this tucking of moisture here. We could see the moisture feed coming in off the Carolinas now, and our trough, which is sharpening and also developing here across the upper Midwest, charging east. Now, there's going to be a combination of things here that will have to happen. The GFS model wants to take the storm out in a couple of pieces here off the mid-Atlantic coast on Wednesday night and Thursday, and kind of moves it out as this upper trough moves in, and we wind up with an upper low over the Great Lakes and one surface low off the northern New England coast. This probably solution does not look correct, so I'm probably thinking that there's going to be some kind of combination between these two systems, and we could be in for a rather wet period. As we get through the day, we'll stop here on Thursday. We can see what the modeling is trying to do. The modeling wants to bring the precipitation up through New Jersey on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. Here comes our deep trough across the upper Midwest, carving out into the eastern United States. We find one low pressure center here developing over the Delmarva, Virginia area, another low pressure center over the Great Lakes associated with that cold front and deepening trough. And we can show this also in the relative humidity field. So it's going to be a combination of where the timing of how far north this system gets and how much of an influence it's going to have with this incoming trough. Generally, probably what's most likely going to happen here is that we're going to be in for a much wetter period than some of the modeling is indicating, because if we get further into the day on Friday and Friday morning and Friday night, we can see what the modeling wants to do. It's digging this trough in a negative fashion with one low south of Hudson's Bay, Canada. We can see the energy here piling and moving into the deep end of the trough here across the Ohio Valley. And then we've got an elongated system of low pressure from the at the surface from the Hudson's Bay, Canada, all the way down to the Virginia. So it's going to be a raw kind of day. You have weather that's going to be a northeast to east wind, originally southeast, beginning Tuesday night and Wednesday, and that's going to pump a lot of this tropical moisture in from off the ocean around the area of high pressure. So the forecast not set in stone here yet, as we this early in the forecast not normally would not be, but we're going to be looking at probably a rainy period from the day on Wednesday, possibly into Thursday, and could even linger as well into Friday. How wet it's going to be, again, will be the determination and future model runs of the interaction between this trough developing and diving southeast across the eastern United States and the tropical low and its movement here and interaction with this trough across the eastern United States. Very pleasant forecast coming up for your holiday weekend as well. High pressure in control throughout today, tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, as well as Monday, Columbus Day. Temperatures going to warm up to around 70 this afternoon on Friday. Get into the middle 70s tomorrow on Saturday. Could probably topple over 80 degrees in some of the metro areas like Philadelphia, New York City, and interior portions away from the coast. And even at the coast, possibly on Sunday too. So Sunday really looking like a fine day. Probably a little bit more of an onshore flow on Monday, but nonetheless, beautiful skies. Temperatures on Monday in the 80s. So we'll in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. So we'll go through this forecast really quickly here, and you can see that really nothing is changing here through Saturday night. High pressure. Here comes a weak trough here across southern New England. That's going to mean that Monday actually could be a little cooler here across the coastal areas and into New York City proper. But any areas just north and west of that probably stay in the upper 70s to around 80. Here's our tropical trouble developing in the forecast guidance here on the charts for Saturday night and Sunday. Rain, strong easterly flow here, tropical wave of some nature here developing across Florida or Cuba and the Bahamas here, and then eventually taking a track somewhere up along the eastern United States. And we'll just have to wait for future model runs to again show the interaction between that feature and an upper level trough that will begin to carving out and moving in our forecast area from the midweek to the later part of next week, which is probably going to change our forecast dramatically from day to day, and we'll just have to keep a monitor of that. 6 to 10 day temperature and precipitation outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center for October 12th through the 16th. We show the below normal temperatures with the onshore flow and probably the rain here across the southeast, especially the coastal areas, and a good bet for Florida too. Very dry air, cool temperatures in the northern New England area, and very dry, warm temperatures across the Intermountain West all the way down to the southwest. See that precipitation will follow suit here. Eastern United States has a lot of variability for wet weather coming up in the 6 to 10 day outlooks here, especially from the Delmarva region all the way to the coast of northern Florida. There's a better chance of above normal precipitation in this area, and we'll just have to monitor how far north this precipitation gets and how heavy it will get later next week along our forecast region from Philadelphia to southern New England. So enjoy this fine weather over the next several days right through Columbus Day weekend, and we'll check back in with you again bright and early on Saturday morning. For GardenStateWeather.com, I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You make it a great day, and if we don't get to see you tomorrow, make it a good weekend.